All right, welcome back. In this lecture, we will discuss dealing with data imbalance. So by the end of this lecture, you should be able to calculate the relative imbalance of target classes within a data set. And you should be able to explain the difference between performance metrics for single classes and multiple classes and when each is appropriate. Finally, you should be able to explain the meaning of a performance metric with respect to a class imbalance. All these items are really crucial when taking a machine learning model and actually deploying it in real life. So let's start out with a little challenge problem. Let's say I have a data set and I have 1,000 patients and only 10 of them have cancer, and I want to create a model that will predict cancer or no cancer with 99% accuracy. And I'm going to do this for you right now in an algorithm I'll show in a single slide. And I call it the worthless algorithm. You'll see in a moment why that's the case. For each patient, return no cancer. That's the algorithm. So let's evaluate it. The true positives are going to be 990 because it's going to get it right on everyone who does not have cancer. False positives and false negatives will each be 10. And if you recall from an earlier lecture how to calculate the accuracy or the micro F1, this gives you a value of 0.99. So there we go. We got a 99% accuracy. But clearly, this is not very helpful. So what went wrong? Well, the micro F1 score effectively hid the poor performance that this silly algorithm had on the cancerous class label. And looking at the microaverage across class labels is not appropriate when really we only care about one class in particular, in this case the cancer class. It's not very important to be able to diagnose people not having cancer and accept a whole lot of error there. Further, in that example, the classes were highly imbalanced. You had 1% of the population was represented with the cancer class, which was very different from the no cancer class. So let's return to our favorite data set for determining what kind of species of iris we have given these measurements of petals and sepals. And we can see here, looking at the class imbalance, is simply the probability of a random sample belonging to a given class. So again, for class 0, we have 2 out of 11, or 0.18 probability. Now, let's look again at what this way of measuring the proportion of samples in the data set for a given class, how this relates to precision. Because if I were to have an algorithm that would say, hey, I'm going to randomly assign a class label to a given sample, and I do that, and it's getting, say, class 0 right 18% of the time, it's doing as well as random guess. So one thing to do is let's check how precision compares to random guess. Well, with class 0, it's 1.8 times greater. So even though we look at that precision score, it says 0.33, which a lot of us think, whoa, 0.33, it's worse than a coin flip, which is 50-50. In actuality, the coin flip we're talking about, it's going to land on heads only 18% of the time. So doing 33% is actually an improvement. Likewise with the class number 1, as you have the same thing. And class number 2, even though that's a higher precision number than class 1, notice it's an improvement over the prior of a smaller amount. And that's because class 2 is much more strongly represented in the data than class 1. Now, this does not mean that that decision tree that got these precision numbers is any good. Doing only like 1 point something times better than the prior probability is nothing to write home about, and it's not particularly good performance for a model. But it is better than random guess. And sometimes, if you have a really hard problem, maybe that's all you can do. So the other issue that we had with our cancer, no cancer example was we were looking at an aggregate metric, the micro F1 or accuracy score, as opposed to metrics for individual classes. And so when is the time that we should use an aggregate metric versus a metric for a specific class? The first is, well, do you have something you particularly care about? And in the cancer example, we clearly cared more if we wanted to determine if the patient had cancer versus not having cancer. And so in that case, you will want to look at the individual class, and in general, you're probably going to want to look more at precision because you want to be able to identify if that individual had that target class with a very high probability. The other case that would be considering is, what if you have a class that is particularly rare, say less than 1% of the data? And again, here is you want to look at an individual metric, and you want to do what we did in the previous slide. Maybe start comparing it to the size of the class. So we had an experiment we did a few years back in social media where our performance on precision for a particular model was 0.6. But the class that we were predicting was less than 1% of the data. So that was a huge improvement over over random selection. However, sometimes, alternatively, you might just want to get an understanding of the overall performance of the model. Maybe like in our iris example, there's multiple classes, and you just want to get an aggregate. You say, hey, I don't know which one's most important. They all kind of are. And in that case, you would want to look at something like, an aggregate metric, such as a micro average or a macro average. Likewise, if the classes have nearly the same proportion of samples, it may also be good to look at an aggregate metric, such again as average. So this concludes today's lecture. Stay tuned for more content.